Discover the incredible journey of a lonely millionaire. One kind maid's touching act changed his life forever. Michael, the millionaire with cold eyes and a frozen heart, faced another holiday season alone in his sprawling mansion. The grand halls that echoed with silence every year became a cruel reminder of all he had sacrificed. The glittering lights decorating the high ceilings felt more like chains than decorations, binding him to a life of isolation. What good was success when the laughter of loved ones rang out of reach? As the snow fell outside, he remained locked in a cycle of work, clinging to his empire while the world outside celebrated family and friendship. Everything changed when Harmony entered his life. The 30-year-old maid, representing everything he had cast away: joy, laughter, love, brought a warm vibrancy into his castle of solitude. She arrived each morning with a smile that breached the fortress around his heart, her laughter a pleasant melody that lingered long after she left the room. While Michael found himself buried in spreadsheets and meetings, Harmony shared stories about her holidays, filled with family gatherings, her eyes sparkling with the magic of connection. They made him remember what he had lost. He felt a twinge of something foreign. As days passed, Michael could feel the frost around him begin to melt. Harmony spoke of her 3 children, their little faces alight with excitement at the prospect of holiday traditions. He felt his chest squeeze with a longing so deep it echoed through his very being. The warmth of her tales clashed with the emptiness of his mansion. Despite the glaring gap between their worlds, he found comfort in her presence. But the shadows of his past lurked even closer now, a reminder of his estranged daughter, Emily. Her absence loomed like a ghost, haunting every corner of his life. How could he have sacrificed her for riches? Guilt coiled around his throat like a snake as he pictured her face, once familiar, now a stranger. Amid whispers of scandal sweeping through the community, a threat to the very ideals he had built his empire upon, Michael felt the familiar grip of doubt. False friends surfaced, revealing their true colors as they cast whispers of his failings. The walls seemed to close in, tightening around him. It was then that Harmony stepped in with a community fundraiser, a project born from her fierce sense of duty and love for her neighborhood. She invited him, urging him to participate. He hesitated. The divides of their worlds felt vast, yet something inside him stirred. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sitting alone on the balcony, the cold wind biting through his coat, Michael's heart raced. The community, vibrant and alive, felt so far from him. As the lights twinkled in the distance, he realized Harmony's steadfast belief in family shone like a beacon through the fog of his doubt. Would he dare knock on Emily's door? Tears welled in his eyes. This journey toward reconciliation would not be simply paved. Yet, as he stood on the edge of his mansion, the choice awaited him: advance into the embrace of forgiveness and family, or retreat into the shadows of his past. He took a deep breath, the chill awakening something profound within. Could he reclaim what once seemed lost forever? The answer felt tantalizingly close, yet hopelessly out of reach, leaving Michael within an uncertainty that felt both exciting and terrifying. Michael stood there, heart pounding as the chill of the winter air wrapped around him like a specter from his past. Harmony's invitation echoed in his mind, each word a gentle nudge towards change. She had poured that warmth into his life, and now, faced with the ultimate choice, he felt the weight of his solitude pressing down like a heavy blanket. What if Emily slammed the door in his face? What if he had forgotten the sound of her laughter forever? These thoughts swirled with the doubt that had taken root in his life. Yet, as he gazed out over the lawn dusted in a soft layer of snow, he caught sight of the first tiny tendrils of hope breaking free. The community fundraiser wasn't just an action. It was a beacon offering a path to a brighter future, one he hadn't dared hope for in a long time. With a flicker of determination, he retreated inside, calling for Harmony. The sound of her footsteps echoed down the marble hallway, stirring a warmth in his chest. When she appeared, her eyes lit up with curiosity and concern. "Is everything all right, Mr. Smith?" she asked, her voice steady yet soft. "I want to help with the fundraiser," he said, surprising himself as much as her. Her eyes widened, and in that moment Michael felt like he was stepping toward the precipice, open and vulnerable. "Really?" Harmony's smile beamed brighter than any holiday light he had seen. "That would mean so much to the community, to everyone." His chest swelled with her joy, yet fear still lurked like a shadow. "But I have to do more than just write a check," he continued, the words tumbling out before he could second-guess himself. "I need to be there. To connect with them." Harmony nodded, her expression shifting to one of admiration. "You're ready for this," she said quietly. "Sometimes, it takes a leap of faith to find the connections we've lost." The next morning found Michael standing in front of a mirror, adjusting a crisp white shirt and a deep blue blazer. The man staring back didn't resemble the detached businessman he'd grown accustomed to. There was a quiver of excitement beneath the surface, a reminder of the man he once had been, the father who loved unconditionally. Could he find a way back to that version of himself? He arrived at the community center, the smell of baked goods and hot cocoa filling the air, mingling with the animated chatter of families gathered to support one another. It was teeming with life and love, a stark contrast to the hollow echo of his mansion. As he stood at the entrance, unsure of where to begin, a familiar face emerged from the crowd like an unexpected spark of hope. It was a mother he recognized from the neighborhood, one whose children often played on the street. "Mr. Smith!" she exclaimed with a smile. "I can't believe you decided to join us." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Michael found himself smiling, easing some of the tension coiling in his gut. "Just thought I should lend a hand," he responded, trying to sound casual but sensing the weight of the moment. As he moved deeper into the gathering, a buzz of excitement began to fill him, and the warmth of human connection enveloped him like a blanket. Children rushed past him, laughter ringing in the air. It terrified him, but more than that, it thrilled him. Then, amidst the giggles and squeals, a voice echoed from behind the punch table. "Dad?" Michael froze, the world falling into a deafening silence. His heart leapt into his throat as he turned slowly, his breath catching at the sight. There stood Emily, older, yet undeniably his daughter, looking at him with an expression that danced between confusion and hope. This was at the moment Michael had only dared to dream about. Would she give him a chance to speak? Would she let him in? As her eyes held his, the gravity of the moment was overwhelming, and the next words out of his mouth could change everything. Emily, the weight of the unspoken hung between them, a thousand emotions swirling, and Michael felt the power of a new beginning flicker on the horizon. Would he take the leap? As Emily's brow furrowed with uncertainty, Michael took a step closer, his heart pounding louder than the chaotic symphony around them. This was his chance, but would he be brave enough to embrace it? Emily's eyes widened, a mix of surprise and apprehension. For a heartbeat, the world around them faded, the laughter, chatter, and the aroma of cookies all lost their hold as they were suspended in that moment. Michael could feel the thudding of his own heart, an anxious drumbeat urging him to bridge the gap that had formed between them over the years. "Dad?" she repeated, her voice trembling slightly. "Is that really you?" His throat felt dry, words tangled like fishing line. What could he say? A part of him wanted to reach out, to wrap her in an embrace, the way he used to when she was small, but that felt too grand, too bold. Instead, he took another tentative step forward, close enough now to see the glimmers of sunlight reflected in her hair. "It's me," he said quietly, his own voice barely above a whisper. "I miss you so much, Emily." Her brow furrowed, unsure. "You just disappeared." There was a veiled accusation woven into her words. They hung there, heavy and familiar, slicing through the warmth of the room. He felt as if she had struck him. The truth was a sharp reminder of all the days gone by, the birthdays and the school plays he had missed. "I know," he said, willing his voice to stay steady. "I'm so sorry for that. I got lost in everything." The job, the house, I just forgot what truly mattered. I wanted to turn back time and be the dad you deserved. Silence stretched out again, and he watched as her expression flickered conflicted. Could the weight of his apology reach her? Could it peel away years of hurt and confusion? Do you really mean it? She asked finally, her voice a fragile thread in the air. There was something fragile in her demeanor, a spark of hope weaving through a protective wall she had built around herself. Yes, he breathed, feeling a stirring in his chest. I want to be a part of your life again, if you'll let me. I want to know who you are now. Emily glanced over her shoulder, scanning the room as if searching for courage among the other festivities beyond them. Michael felt his heart thump with anticipation. It would be so easy for her to walk away. So easy for her to reject him. The fear of losing her again gripped him tighter than before. I'm just not sure how, she said, her tone wavering. It's been so long. The ache in his chest tightened. I know. That's why I'm here. I am starting over too. I want to help with this fundraiser because I want to reconnect with the community, with you. I want to show you that I can be present. And I will be if you give me a chance. Her gaze softened just a little, the edges of uncertainty starting to blur. This isn't going to be easy, Dad? I'm not asking for it to be easy, he said, an earnest clarity sharpening his voice. I just want to try. Please. For the first time, he saw a flicker of something beyond hurt in her eyes, curiosity battling against the remnants of distrust. Okay, she replied slowly, but there was a hint of cautious hope in her voice, as if she were trying the word on for size. Let us start with small steps, then. Michael nodded, gratitude flooding his senses like a warm hug. They had a chance. Maybe, just maybe, they could navigate this path together. As they both took a deep breath, the room around them buzzed back into focus. Laughter erupted, and the restless energy of the fundraiser pulsed through the air. Michael felt lighter. Maybe you could help me make the punch? He suggested, trying to lighten the mood. I used to think I was pretty good at it, but I might need your expertise. A small smile tugged at the corners of Emily's lips, breaking through the tension that had overshadowed their reunion. All right then, let us see what you've got. That fleeting smile ignited something deep within him, a glimmering thread of connection. He could feel it, a warmth beginning to spark between them once again. But as they began to head toward the punch table, Michael caught sight of Harmony watching from a distance. Her expression was proud, yet there was something more, something he couldn't quite place. The future was uncertain, but something profound was shifting, and as his daughter turned to him with a hint of mischief, Michael knew the journey was just beginning. What could this transformation bring them next? A chance at redemption or a new challenge to face head-on? As they approached the punch table, the cheerful chaos of the fundraiser suffused the air. The sound of laughter and conversation surrounded them, but for Michael, it felt like they were in their own little bubble. Emily was at his side, and he marveled at how her presence transformed everything. Right, here's the secret, he said, rolling up his sleeves dramatically, trying to mimic a famous chef. You have to start with a strong base. She raised an eyebrow, a playful smile creeping across her face. A strong base? You mean like you used to make? Hey now, he laughed, that was the past. I'll leave the juggling to you, and I'll stick to pouring. As they mixed the juice and soda, Michael couldn't help but notice the ease creeping back in. Every small moment felt monumental. They took turns cracking jokes, tossing in spices and a lot of laughter. It was as if the darkness that once surrounded them was evaporating, leaving room for something new. See? Not that hard, right? Michael asked, pouring a bright orange punch into a cup. True, Emily admitted, her eyes sparkling like the sun-drenched drink. You're not half bad. Suddenly, their carefree mood took a hit as his phone buzzed in his pocket. Glancing at the screen, his stomach churned. It was a reminder of a board meeting he had scheduled for that evening, one that he couldn't miss. They had just started to connect, and now reality threatened to pull him away. Hey, is everything okay? Emily's voice cut through his spiraling thoughts, concern clouding her features. Oh, it's just work, he said dismissively, waving his phone as if to shoo away the problem. But I'll handle it later. This is more important. Her look said it all. She was skeptical, and for a heartbeat, tension crackled in the air between them. He wanted to assure her that he was choosing her. It felt right. But could he keep that promise when the world outside loomed so large? We have to get through this fundraiser first, he reminded himself, forcing a smile. Let us make sure the punch is a hit. I think we need to add some fruit. As they added slices of oranges and cherries, Emily's laughter returned, bubbling over almost like the fizzy punch. But as joy bubbled beneath the surface, Michael's anxiety gnawed at him. The clock ticked relentlessly, reminding him of the upcoming meeting. Let us get the punch out and mingle a bit, he suggested, pushing the unease deeper down. It was time to engage with the community and Emily beyond the table. They stepped back into the main area, where balloons bobbed in the gentle breeze filtering through the open windows. Harmony now approached, a warm smile on her face, but as she came closer, Michael saw the flicker of worry in her eyes. Is everything all right? She asked softly, glancing between father and daughter. Yes. Emily chirped with confidence that surprised even her. We were just about to serve our special punch. Really? I'd love to try it. Harmony beamed, just as the first guests began to gather. As they served the punch, Michael felt a strange sense of belonging swell within him. Each cup they filled was more than just a drink, it felt like a bridge being built. He looked at Emily, catching her eye, and for the first time in years, it felt like they were both in sync. Their small world of laughter and connection began to expand, intertwining with the bustling activity around them. But just then, before he could settle into this newfound rhythm, he caught a glimpse of a familiar figure at the door. His heart sank in, his former business partner. As she crossed the room toward him, tension creased his forehead. Old wounds surged back. What did she want now? Was she here to pull him back into the fray? Michael, she called out, her voice cutting through the laughter. Emily turned, sensing the shift in energy. Michael's heart began to race. This was already fragile ground, and now he felt like it might all shatter in an instant. What would this unexpected arrival mean for the fragile bond he was trying to rebuild with Emily? Michael's heart pounded in his chest. He turned to face Anne, who now stood a few feet away, her expression unreadable. He briefly felt the warmth of the punch bowl fade, replaced by a chill that gripped his insides. "And," he said, forcing a smile, "it's been a while?" The words tasted strange on his tongue. She crossed her arms, the corners of her mouth twitching uncertainly. "I heard about the fundraiser. I thought I'd stop by and see how things are going." Emily watched the exchange closely, her little fingers tightening around the punch ladle. She looked up at her father, uncertain. The protective instinct within her flared, and Michael wished he could shield her from whatever storm Anne brought with her. "Oh, you know what to expect at these things," he replied, trying to maintain an air of casualness. "Just punch, laughter, and a lot of community spirit, right?" Anne's gaze turned hard, piercing through their light-hearted atmosphere. "I hope you're not planning on bailing on your commitments, Michael. People are counting on you." He felt every muscle in his body tense up. The last few weeks had been a delicate dance trying to reconnect with Emily, rebuild trust with himself, and keep the past from overshadowing their present. Her presence was a reminder of all that was lost. "I'm not running anywhere," he shot back, his tone sharper than intended. "I'm here." "Dad," Emily whispered, the worry lining her voice. She moved closer to him. The tension thrummed in the air like a taut wire, and every word felt like a mine ready to explode. Michael inhaled deeply, forcing a calm he didn't actually feel. "Look, Anne, tonight's not the time," but she pressed on, her gaze unyielding. "Right, because this is so much more important than the meeting we planned. You can't keep pretending everything is just fine." The punch bowl suddenly felt far heavier. Michael glanced at Emily. She was watching him, eyes wide yet fiery, and he couldn't bear the thought of disappointing her again. He had promised her more than just an evening's diversion. He had promised to be present. "Let us talk later," he said, trying to keep his voice steady, but the plea felt pathetic. "Later?" You think putting things off will fix it? You're wrong, Anne retorted, and his frustration boiled. Some things are worth sacrificing for family, he exclaimed before he could hold it back, the words hanging in the air like a challenge. Emily's face lit up, and he realized too late what that admission meant. She was looking at him like he was a hero. For a moment, caught in the fragile light of that recognition, he felt invincible. Anne's expression shifted, a flicker of something surprise? Regret? He couldn't quite tell. But instead of voicing that recognition, she turned stiffly, casting a glance back at the crowd that had begun to gather, intrigued by the escalating exchange. Fine, Michael. But don't think this conversation is over. She turned and walked away, leaving a charged silence in her wake. Breath caught in his throat, Michael felt the weight of every unspoken thought. He looked down at Emily, those bright eyes searching his face for answers. Dad, are you okay? She whispered, her innocence shining through the veils of tension. He offered a nod, though uncertainty churned in his stomach. Yeah, I just wish some things were simpler. Emily didn't smile. She simply regarded him with a mix of concern and understanding, like she understood more than he realized. Why do people have to clash like that? She asked softly. He opened his mouth, but the words failed him. Instead, he grabbed a cup of punch and sighed. Maybe because they're scared of losing what they care about. Emily replied quietly, her gaze drifting to the crowd. Come on, he said with forced cheer, let us go serve more punch. We need to make this the best night possible, right? Michael grabbed a ladle, but the shadow of Anne lingered in his mind, twisting the hopeful atmosphere. As they resumed their duties, Michael couldn't shake the nagging thought. How long could he balance the weight of the past with the desire to embrace this newfound connection? There was still so much to address, so many loose ends, but he was determined not to let anything ruin this evening with Emily. Just as they finished filling another cup, he spotted someone else, a familiar face who shouldn't be here. His heart raced. Could the night get any more complicated? What did this person want, and how would they affect his delicate bond with Emily? Michael's stomach flipped as he caught sight of the familiar figure cutting through the crowd like a knife through butter. It was Sarah, the woman he had lost touch with after the fallout with Anne. She was the very person he had wished to shield Emily from, yet here she was, a ghost from the past. What is she doing here? He muttered under his breath, his heart thumping with anxiety. What is wrong, Dad? Emily asked, glancing up at him, her little brow furrowed with concern. Just some old friend. We need to focus on the punch, he replied, trying to redirect her attention. But Sarah was drawing closer, her bright smile sending a jolt of confusion through him. He hadn't anticipated running into her here, of all places. Michael! Sarah called out, waving her hand with an enthusiasm that felt both warm and jarring. I can't believe this is where you've been hiding. I heard about the fundraiser. I thought I'd stop by and help out. Emily's lips curled into a little smile. She loved meeting new people, and Sarah's friendly demeanor seemed to lighten the tension lingering in the air. Michael had different feelings, a knot of emotions twisting in his gut. Hey, Sarah, he replied, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Good to see you. Is this, she started, glancing down at Emily, your daughter? Michael's heart sank, but the lump in his throat made it hard to speak. Yeah, this is Emily. Nice to meet you, Emily chirped, her natural charm shining through as she held out her tiny hand for a shake. Michael watched as Sarah bent down to shake Emily's hand, her expression melting into one of genuine warmth. She is adorable, just like her dad. He felt a wave of awkwardness wash over him. This was not the reunion he had envisioned. So, what brings you here again? He asked, his tone more clipped than he intended. Oh, I've gotten involved with some community projects. Figured I could lend a hand here, too, Sarah said, bright and easy. I've missed working with everyone. It felt like a good time to reconnect. As she spoke, Michael's mind veered from the past to present, from warmth to coldness, like a roller coaster of emotions. He thought of Anne and the way her presence ignited a fire inside him, yet here was Sarah, a possibility that felt like ashes in a forgotten hearth. It's a good cause, Emily said cheerfully, catching Michael off guard. Right, Dad? Sure, he said, though his thoughts raced, circling around what this all meant. How did Sarah fit into the delicate puzzle of his life now? Each gaze exchanged felt heavy with unspoken histories. So, let us get to work, Sarah said, clapping her hands together as if to wipe the tension away. What can I help with? Michael hesitated, torn between wanting to protect Emily from the potential awkwardness and needing to navigate this unexpected confrontation. We're just serving punch, he said, nodding toward the large bowl that seemed to mock his uncertainty. As they settled into working together, the three of them ladled punch into cups, but Michael could feel an invisible weight pressing down on him. Meanwhile, Emily chatted with Sarah, laughter ringing like a bell, making it clear she was enjoying the interaction. The innocence in her voice reminded Michael how pure these moments were, how precious they felt, but lingering questions niggled at him. What if and returned? What if this unfolding situation spiraled out of control? As the evening wore on, Michael's mind raced to find a way through the chaos, to protect Emily from the fallout of the past. Just as he thought he could regain control, the front door swung open again, and he caught sight of and re-entering the room. The world around him blurred, the laughter fading, leaving only the tension that crackled in the air like static. Dad? Emily's curious voice broke through his haze. Is everything okay? Michael glanced between Anne and Sarah, feeling the complexity of his life twist into a tighter knot. How could he possibly juggle all of this? Could he find a way to preserve his daughter's trust while confronting the specters of his past? What would happen next as old faces collided? Michael's heart raced as he realized tonight was far from over, it was just beginning. The atmosphere thickened as Anne's presence filled the room. Michael's heart pounded. It felt like time had stopped. He held his breath, trying to grasp at the fragments of the past that reemerged, colliding with his desires for the future. He exchanged a quick glance with Emily, then back to Anne. Her expression a mix of surprise and what he hoped was warmth sent waves of uncertainty coursing through him. Anne! Sarah exclaimed, her voice a little too bright, echoing in the charged air. What a surprise to see you here. Hi, Sarah, Anne replied, her polite smile barely masking her surprise. She looked at Michael, her eyes questioning yet somehow still familiar. Looks like old friends are reconnecting, Anne said, her tone light but layered. Sort of, Michael said, his voice firm. Just helping out, you know. Emily interjected, Sarah's helping with the punch, Mom. It's delicious. She took a sip and beamed at both women, oblivious to the tension. That innocent joy briefly relieved Michael's heavy heart, but it wouldn't last. The two women were stepping closer, locked in some unspoken challenge past friendships against their present selves. He felt like an unwitting contestant on a game show with only bad options. So, what have you been up to, Anne? Sarah asked, maintaining an overly cheerful tone. Just getting back into the swing of things, Anne replied, her gaze never leaving Michael. Busy with work and Tucker, you know. Michael's chest tightened at the mention of Tucker, a painful reminder of everything that had changed. But then Emily tugged at his sleeve. Dad, can I help? She asked, entranced by the idea of serving punch. Of course, sweetie. You go ahead, he said, ruffling her hair as she scampered off to the table. As Emily busied herself, Michael turned to Anne, his phone buzzing in his pocket. He silenced it without looking. You're really back, huh? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't realize this would be part of my welcome back, she said, gesturing toward Sarah, who was pouring another cup of punch, completely unaware of the storm brewing between them. I didn't expect it either, he replied, glancing toward Emily, who was laughing again, her energy dispelling shadows hanging over his heart. But it's good to see you, and continued, her voice softer now, edging closer to sincerity. I've missed you. The weight of those words sat heavy between them. It stirred a swirl of memories, the laughter they shared, the love, the hurt that had torn them apart. I don't know how to do this, he admitted, his eyes searching hers for answers that felt elusive, and nodded, her expression transforming from confusion to understanding. Neither do I. But we can at least try, right? Just then, a loud laugh erupted from Emily, pulling their attention away from each other. Michael allowed himself a brief moment to breathe, focusing on his daughter's joy while trying to untangle his thoughts. In that moment, Sarah stepped back over, her eyes dancing with curiosity. "You two okay?" she asked, a knowing smile on her face. "Because it looks a bit intense." Michael met Anne's gaze again. They both shared a knowing glance before he replied, "Just navigating old waters." The tension didn't go unnoticed by Emily, who looked up and said, "Can we play a game next? Like musical chairs? That would be fun." "Sure, Michael said quickly, trying to shift the mood. If only it were that simple. If only they could just play games, pretend the past didn't exist. As the night wore on and laughter filled the air again, Michael felt the tightness in his chest linger. Could he truly navigate this minefield of memories, new beginnings, and protect Emily from all of it? Just then, a loud voice boomed from the entrance again. Michael turned, and his heart sank. It felt like the world had just dropped into place, all the pieces ready to collide. Who was it now? What new twist awaited him? He braced himself, knowing this was about to get more complicated. The door swung open, and the lively chatter faded, replaced by the sudden weight of familiarity. Michael's breath caught in his throat. In stepped Jonathan, a big presence filled with laughter, and an old friend of theirs from those carefree days. He hadn't been expected tonight, and his sudden arrival felt like a hurricane rolling in. "Hey everyone!" Jonathan boomed, his voice thick with enthusiasm. He scanned the room, and his eyes landed on Michael, then shifted to Anne. "Look who's back in town!" "Anne!" Michael felt a jolt of tension ripple through him as Jonathan crossed the room, oblivious to the undercurrents he'd just disturbed. He wrapped Anne in a warm hug, like it was perfectly normal, like years hadn't passed since the last time they'd all been together. Michael watched, tension coiling in his stomach. "Wow, it's amazing to see you. How long has it been?" Jonathan asked, pulling back to look at her. "Too long," Anne smiled, but there was a flicker in her eyes. Michael caught it. "Feels like old times," Jonathan declared, glancing between Michael and Anne, his grin widening. "We should relive the glory days. Game night, the three of us." "Yeah, about that," Michael spoke up, his voice tightening. "Things have changed." A moment of silence settled, awkward and heavy. Jonathan seemed confused, the smile leaving his face for a second as he stepped back to assess the mood. Emily, still buzzing with enthusiasm, darted across the room, bumping into Jonathan's leg, eyes sparkling with excitement. "Mr. Jonathan, can I play musical chairs with the grown-ups?" she asked, bursting with energy. "Of course, little lady. But I'm going to win." Jonathan laughed, and the innocence of her joy temporarily lightened the mood, bringing a cautious smile to Michael's face. But just as quickly that weight returned, Jonathan turned back to the adults, clearly wanting to break the tension. "All right, who wants to go first?" he asked, spreading his arms dramatically. "I think it's a bit too early for games," Michael replied, cautious yet irritated, wanting to put up a wall against the memories Jonathan could bring crashing back. Jonathan shrugged it off, focusing on Emily with an easy smile. "How about we start simple? Remember how we used to play charades?" "Yeah. That was so much fun!" Emily shouted, clapping her hands. "See? She wants fun!" Jonathan insisted, his tone cheerful. Yet beneath this surface positivity, Michael felt a battle raging inside. And stood silently beside him, a mixture of nostalgia and pain etching across her face. Did she miss this energy, this banter? Or had it become sour from remembering what they once had? "Fun is great, but we also need to talk," Michael said, turning to Anne, his voice barely a murmur. "We need to figure things out." "Right." Anne nodded, the lightness in her expression dimming. "Why don't we step outside for a moment?" As they moved toward the door, Michael felt Jonathan's gaze lingering on them, the playful banter fading into mumbled confusion amongst Emily and Sarah. The air was thick with expectations, old wounds, and untold stories waiting to spill out, Outside, the cool night air washed over them, crystal clear yet heavy. The stars twinkled above, oblivious to the tension spiraling between two people caught in a web of their past. Michael, Ian started, but he interrupted, frustration tightening his voice. We can't just act like everything is fine, Anne. It's complicated. What if we could simplify it? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The question hung between them, loaded with the possibility of change, but also with the pain of past decisions. As Michael opened his mouth, ready to voice his fears, a distant shout shattered the moment. They turned to see Jonathan sprinting toward them, a wide grin plastered on his face. His excitement was infectious but out of place. Guys! You won't believe what I just found. Michael's heart sank. Another twist, another complication. What would Jonathan reveal now? Caught between past regrets and uncertain futures, Michael braced himself for whatever news awaited. Jonathan came to a skidding halt, breathing heavily but grinning ear to ear. You guys have to check this out. He held up a piece of paper, wrinkled and slightly crumpled, as if it had traveled through a whirlwind. Michael's heart raced. What is it? He asked, caught between curiosity and dread. It's an old photo. From our last beach bonfire. Jonathan exclaimed, pointing at the paper like it was a winning lottery ticket. You know, the one where we tried to roast marshmallows and nearly set my parents' backyard on fire? A laugh almost broke through Michael's stern demeanor, but he held back. Instead, he glanced at Anne, who was still processing Jonathan's abrupt return. That old snapshot seemed to stretch the distance between them, memories surfacing with both warmth and ache. Let me see, Anne said, taking a step forward. Jonathan handed her the photo, and Michael watched as her face lit up, reminiscent of a simpler time. Look at us, Michael! We were so carefree. Her laugh echoed in the night, a bittersweet melody that made his chest tighten. Yeah, carefree until everything unraveled, he murmured, unable to keep the edge out of his tone. Come on, lighten up! Jonathan retorted, plopping down on the steps leading to the backyard. We had some great times. It doesn't all have to be heavy. Michael rubbed the back of his neck, frustrated. Jonathan, that was before everything changed. We know, Jonathan interrupted, his voice losing a bit of its joviality, a flicker of understanding crossing his face. But why can't we relish what was good? Can't we just remember the laughs and the way we felt? Because it matters. Michael snapped, feeling every ounce of tension spill out. It's not just some memory. It's our lives, Jonathan. Anne's expression shifted, the easy joy fading. Maybe we need to talk about it, Michael. Just like you said inside. Jonathan looked at them both, brow furrowing, sensing the weight that had tipped the scales. Let us talk then. That's what friends do, right? I'm here and I'm pumped to see you both. He smiled, but it was strained now, as if he sensed the fragile thread binding them. The night turned heavy again, as silence washed over them. Emily's laughter drifted faintly from the other room, a sound that seemed worlds away from this moment. Michael felt the pull of duty, the expectation to protect this fragile bond, but he was no longer sure how to navigate the secret currents of love and loneliness that had woven themselves between him and Anne. What if we could all just be honest for once? Anne finally said, her voice shaky but resolute. Honesty might simplify things. Michael held her gaze, taking a deep breath, knowing he would have to dig deep. You're right. I'm tired of pretending everything's okay. Then let us get it out there, Jonathan encouraged, shifting forward, eager to bridge the gulf that had opened. No more excuses, just the truth. What's really going on? As Michael stared at Anne, he felt a wave of vulnerability wash over him. Would he finally admit the fears that had kept his heart locked away? And yet, somewhere deep inside, he knew they stood on the brink of more than just recollections. They were on the verge of profound change. Okay, he started, as the air thickened with unspoken fears and uncharted paths. But before he could continue, a shout from inside the house startled them all, breaking the intimate moment. Hey! Who's winning in here? It was Sarah, peeking out the door, her laughter infectious but still unsettling. Michael's pulse raced. Time was slipping away. They were standing on the edge of an emotional cliff, and he wasn't sure what lay beyond. Could honesty and memory coexist, or would real truths tear them apart? He took a breath, trying to regain his composure. "We're figuring things out," he called back, but the doubt in his voice was clear, and looked at him, a silent question in her eyes. "Are you ready?" Before he could answer, Jonathan clapped his hands together. "Well, how about we head back inside for some answers?" That's when Michael knew. As they turned toward the door, the past and future collided. What awaited them wasn't just a walk down memory lane, but a confrontation with truths that might change everything. "Together then?" Jonathan asked, trading a glance between two old friends poised to navigate the depths of their hearts. Michael's heart raced. Hadn't he always imagined that awakening would come with a simple step? But now he felt the weight of the moment. And as he opened the door carefully, uncertain and expectant, he wondered what would unfold next. Inside the community center, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and music, lifting Michael's spirits just a little. Emily was leading a group of kids toward the punch table, her laughter mingling with the joyful noise that echoed around them. For a fleeting moment, he forgot about the heavy conversations waiting outside. This was all he ever wanted, a simple, warm connection. But as they entered, the specters of the past came rushing back. He caught sight of and chatting with Sarah, the two of them surrounded by a small crowd of laughter that felt laced with easy familiarity. Michael's chest tightened again. Why did the past keep resurfacing, each encounter digging up old wounds like a relentless tide? "Let's make the punch a hit, huh?" Jonathan said, nudging Michael gently, sensing his tension. "We can get all these kids enraptured with the best punch in town." With a small, forced smile, Michael moved to join them at the punch table, pouring the vibrant mix of colors into cups. He felt Emily's south warmth close by. See, she was excited, utterly engrossed in the fun, and that brought some light back into his heart. "Look at you two!" Sarah exclaimed, catching Emily's sparkling eyes. "You really make an amazing team." The sincere compliment wrapped around Michael like a warm hug, but also reminded him of all that was fragile and new. "Thanks. We're mixing a secret ingredient in the punch," Emily shared, giggling, her excitement infectious. With every word, Michael could see the walls around Emily crumbling, her spirit lighting up the space. This moment mattered. As the night carried on, they found themselves surrounding the punch table at the center of the room. Michael watched as Emily, with those little hands, painted joy into their corner of the world. The laughter, the games, it was all so pure, so full of life. But then, at the edge of the gathering, he saw Anne step forward, an edge of hesitation shadowing her face. Michael felt a rush of resolve. This was his chance. This was the moment they could all find a way through. "Can I have everyone's attention?" he called out, his voice steady, the room quieting down as faces turned toward him. He shared a glance with Emily, who beamed, wrapping Michael in a surge of courage. "I know this evening started with a lot of old memories stirring, and it feels like there are still too many unsaid things between us." He looked directly at Anne. "Yet, here and now, I choose family over everything else." Emily nodded, her eyes sparkling with understanding. "Yeah, we can all be together and fix things." She stepped close to Michael, holding his hand tightly as if anchoring them all in this moment. "Let us take a step forward," Michael continued, his voice tinged with emotion. "Starting tonight, I want more than just punch and laughter. I want to rebuild what was broken." The room remained still, a pregnant pause hanging in the air before he felt Anne's gaze soften in acknowledgement of the past, a glimmer of hope for the future. "And I am done hiding from what scares me," Anne added, stepping toward him, her voice aligned with determination. "I want us to navigate this together, if you're willing." "Together," echoed Jonathan, clapping his hands. "It's what we do best." Michael felt a swelling in his chest at the unity forming. Emily's laughter twinkled again, igniting the air around them and breaking the tension. But it wasn't just about them anymore. There was life blooming each time they strived to understand one another. People smiled, cups raised in solidarity, as the warmth of acceptance washed over them. As the last of the evening ebbed back toward punch and games, tears pricked Michael's eyes. They had lost a lot, but in that moment, they were working toward healing, toward connection. During the last round of musical chairs, as the sound of laughter enveloped him, his heart once more filled to the brim. Emily danced away, and for the first time in a long while, he felt free. Then it hit him how far they had come. He glanced sideways at Anne, their eyes meeting in an unspoken pact, a shared commitment to embrace whatever came next. This was just the beginning. Going home wouldn't mean retreating into solitude, but stepping into the warmth of family, where struggles could be faced together. "Thank you all for being here," Michael said, truly meaning it, as the evening wrapped up with joy and laughter, their spirits entwined. This was the moment they were meant to share, a tapestry woven with second chances and hope. And as they began to gather their things, Michael knew there was a bright future ahead, bathed in the shimmering light of connection, his heart finally at peace now. If you've felt that spark of transformation, if you've resonated with this journey, you need to subscribe now to catch more incredible stories that inspire and uplift. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed that algorithm every bit of love it needs, and don't forget to comment below with your reactions and feelings about this beautiful ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this inspiring transformation, because together, we can foster hope and connection. Don't wait not even one more second. Your action counts.